I think it was this one. Okay, we'll look at that in a little bit though. Before we do that though, let's look at Jim Cramer breaking down the chances of a recession, because that was what we started off with, and that's what we're going to continue along with for a little bit, okay, until we get into the California recall and all the fucking wins for progressives. I don't want to take ownership over Karen Bass. I don't think she's good, and I don't think she's a real progressive at all. But her bleeding over Rick Caruso by 13,000 fucking votes or some shit, even more than that, is actually good because Rick Caruso pumped a fuckload of votes, or pumped a fuckload of money, his own money, into trying to win this election. And he still lost to a career politician, to a machine politician like Karen Bass, who wasn't even actually very progressive, but was able to successfully make it seem as though she was progressive, or at the very least more progressive than Rick Caruso, which doesn't take much because Rick Caruso was running on the Let's Melt the Homeless campaign. So we'll get to California in a little bit.
In the word recession more than I can recall.
Here's Jim Cramer.
In a more
Mad Money time.
Confident way. You seem to believe that's more likely than not.
Yeah, I just think that the main issue is whether it's going to be a doozy or not. That's my term. It's a technical term.
A doozy.
Doozy. But look, you got Devon Energy, One Oak, Verizon, Huntington Bank shares. I had Huntington Bank one. They're terrific. I've had Verizon, not doing that well. I've had Devon. They're doing incredibly well with a really big dividend. Vici came and saw I conquered. Remember Vici? That came public at 15 with Goldman. IBM, that's controversial. Newell, a lot of people worried about imports. Cisco Systems, that Chuck yesterday was on a rival station talking very positively about Cisco. Advanced Auto Parts, well, that's because there's not a lot of new cars or used cars. And then energy. But those are of the handful of companies that are in the S&P, 20-odd companies that meet my criteria, those are the ones that I thought work. Now, what does this really mean? Every time we've had even a systemic decline, I've done this. This is the fewest that I've found to buy versus 2011, versus 2008, versus 2000. I've been doing these screens time immemorial versus 94. And so that would say that we're already there.
Right.
That's
an interesting point.
Where?
Well, that a lot of stocks are already reflecting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, and I did a piece this morning for tonight about the 4 times earning stocks and 5 times. And if you just cut the stocks in half, they just yield great.
But the S&P multiple right now, you were using 16, still could have a ways to go based on the fact that we're still, earnings revisions have not come in yet, reflecting more than a 50-50 chance of a recession.
Well, what I did, I had to deal with the hand that I've been dealt. 16 was where I did the screen.
Right.
Well, it's like if you did something based on the 30-year last year. I mean, look, mortgages, 6 and change,
sure,
but the mortgage applications were very strong, but the retail sales are very weak. I guess where I'm going is this is one of the more confusing times, so I fell back on something that I've done before, which is a screen like this, but obviously David doesn't think my screen is all that valuable, but I think it's very good.
Well, I think your larger point in that is that basically what you're saying is that Jamie Dimon's hurricane is essentially here. Right, that's sort of
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's very good.
We talked about layoffs yesterday at several companies. Redfin on home buyer budgets.
Oh my God,
and
Compass and Redfin. Have you seen those?
Retail sales are down 1.3 in real terms.
Yeah, you want to cry.
Wages are lagging CPI by 4 points.
No, it's stagflation. It's awful. I mean, this is a moment of where you need some reflection because everything's bad. What's good? Tell me what's good. The consumer.
The consumer still has a good amount of a good balance sheet, and most if everybody who wants a job has one. Those are good things.
And that's what typically.
There are still, in fact, shortages in certain areas.
Well, that's very bullish. That you can get a job if you want it. That they're probably not going to be as many layoffs.
Jobless claims just ticked up to the highest jump since January, right? I mean, these things are turning.
Demand is coming down. What was the import? The import numbers were
ex-fuel is negative,
right?
First time in 2 years.
Well, look, if there are only 23 stocks in the S&P 500 that passed my test, the 16 times earnings.
Understood.
I mean, what are you going to get? No stocks that have growth, 3.5%, more than 3.5% yield, and no growth. Is that possible that every single company in the S&P is going to fail my test? That doesn't seem right.